Hey guys, Adam Katz for DogTrainerToolbox.com. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what you should do, how you should invest your dog training money, the profits that you make from your dog training business. But before we get into that, a little bit of news and a little bit of housekeeping. On the news front, if you are using CallRail, which is kind of the 600-pound gorilla when it comes to call tracking and notifications, they've pretty much bought up most of their competitors at this point. We are still seeing problems with their tracking. Now, the calls, the leads are still going through, they're still being directed to the target phone number, but we're not consistently getting the email notification. So we're still actively looking for a company that we can use to replace CallRail with. So if you are using CallRail, factor that into the equation. We had initially started using them because they integrated well with Google Ads, because as many of you know, we've run Google Ads for well over 100 dog training businesses at this point, and you can learn more about that at DogTrainerToolbox.com. But CallRail integrated really well with that. So inside the Google dashboard, it was easy to see how many leads had come through for any specific campaign. Can't do that quite so easily anymore. So that's for the news. On to the housekeeping. You know, if you have a dog training business, it really doesn't make sense to be spending thousands of dollars a month and sending paid traffic, or any traffic for that matter, to a $4 website that you built yourself, especially if you're a great dog trainer, but you really haven't studied anything about web design or copywriting or conversion optimization. That's where we can help you out at DogTrainerToolbox.com. Check out our Done For You dog training business website. Works incredibly well to convert cold traffic into hot leads, gives you almost an unfair advantage against your competition. Again, DogTrainerToolbox.com. Now, I'd like to talk about a little bit about investing your profits, investing your money. And I'm not using this video to tell you what you should do. I just kind of want to share with you what's worked really well for me over the years. Now, I've studied as kind of a hobby for the past 20 years personal finance. I'm by no means an expert, but I've not only studied a lot about personal finance, but I've also tested different portfolio strategies myself. Everything from day trading to Harry Brown's permanent portfolio. I've done a lot of different stuff. And I'm going to share with you a very, very simple strategy that you can use that's going to outperform 80% of professional money managers in any given year. Meaning the guys that run mutual funds, the guys that run hedge funds, most of the professional money managers. This is a strategy that's been endorsed by the likes of the greatest investor who's ever lived, Warren Buffett, as well as Jack Bogle, who died with $80 million after consistently giving 50% of his salary away to charity, and a lot of his investments away to charity as well. This guy could have easily been a multi-billionaire himself. He started Vanguard Group of Funds. What am I talking about? I'm talking about investing in index funds. I'm going to explain very briefly what an index fund is. You can do it yourself in about 5 minutes. It's an investment strategy you can just do consistently month over month, and you don't even have to pay attention to it. Let's see what this guy's doing back here. Basically, an index fund is a fund that mechanically mimics the market, specifically the S&P 500. The S&P 500 are the top 500 at any given time, the top 500 U.S. companies. So everything from Apple to McDonald's to Johnson & Johnson, so on and so forth. And the companies that are incorporated in that S&P 500, they come onto that ranking and they fall off depending on their financials. Now, this is not a good investment strategy if you think that America is going to disappear within the next 10 years. If you think that America is just going to fall apart, there's going to be Armageddon, you should probably be investing in gold and beans and bullets and a property way out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe not a bad idea in general, but for me, I typically set aside, I don't even include it as part of my investment portfolio. I typically set aside between 5 to 10% of my money in precious metals and a variety of other hard assets. Not a bad idea, but in terms of investing for your future, for your retirement, because there's going to come a time where you're old like me and you don't want to be out training dogs every day. even if you grow your business. The whole point of having a dog training business rather than just a dog training hobby is so that someday you don't have to work. And in my opinion, this is one of the best strategies to get you there. So I'm talking about investing in index funds, an S&P 500 index fund. What that is, it's basically a mechanical fund that mimics those top 500 American companies. And why it works so well is, one of the reasons it works so well is that they typically have a very, very low expense ratio, like 0.06, whereas a lot of mutual funds, which are actively managed, might charge you 0.5% to 1%, which over time dramatically eats into your profits. Warren Buffett did this challenge where he bet $1 million that would go to charity to basically anybody who could do better than him over a 10-year period. And what he did was basically he invested the $1 million into an index fund, into a Vanguard index fund. And by the way, you don't have to use Vanguard. I use Vanguard, but most of the big investment houses like Schwab and Fidelity have their own similar types of mechanical index funds. And he went up against a big name hedge fund manager, and after 10 years, he won. He won the bet without doing anything. All he did was just park the money in an index fund. Now, you might think this is a strange thing to tell you about, considering that at the time of this recording, the market is down like 23% this year. But here's the thing, is an investment strategy when your time horizon is over a period of 10 years or more. So meaning that if you're gonna need the money in less than 10 years, like you're gonna retire, or you're thinking about putting the money into some other type of investment, like maybe buying a franchise or something, then this may not be the best strategy for you because there are ups and downs to the market in the short run. Over the long run, the market has consistently returned between 8 to 12%, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less, but typically in the long run, roughly, I think it's actually like 11.8%, something like that, which is really, really good. Again, the index funds perform better than 80% of professional money managers in any given year. So why not just blindly invest in the market? So the strategy is this. The strategy is put 10% of your income, 10% of your revenue, if you can, every month into an index fund and just ignore it. Just keep doing that. And if you do that, by the time you're 65 years old, there's a very, very good chance you're going to be a millionaire, and a very good chance that you might even be a multimillionaire. It's worked really well for me. And again, I've tested all kinds of different portfolio strategies, but this is primarily what we've done over the past, 15 years now. And even despite the downturns, it's done really, really good. Again, ignore the short-term fluctuations. That's the hardest part, because when everybody on the news is talking about how it's different this time, and it's doomsday and everything's, pull your money out and stuff, you have to have the cojones to just block all that out and just keep blindly investing in those index funds. What happens is, like now, the market's down, like I said, 22, 23%. That's like a buying opportunity. So you can use that to basically buy into the same fund that you've been investing in at a cheaper price. So it's like getting these great American companies at a discount. Now, some people say, what about international exposure? The theory is that most of the big American companies are already invested internationally, like McDonald's, for example, like Amazon, like all of them, Apple. So you're already getting international exposure. It's a very, very simple strategy. The one that I predominantly use is this symbol is VOO. So again, check into it, talk with your financial advisor to make sure it's right for you. I don't go off what some guy on YouTube says you should do, but this is what we've used to help build our wealth, and I just kind of wanted to share that with you because you're probably going to get to a point where you don't want to train dogs anymore, or maybe you can't train dogs anymore. Maybe you have a health issue or an injury or who knows what, and you're going to need to live off your investments, or you want to just retire and live off your investments. General rule on that, by the way, I follow the 4% rule. 4% rule generally says you can take 4% out of your investment funds every year and your investment should last for at least 30 years. So that's kind of the way that I look at it, meaning that if you've saved up $1 million or your investments have accrued to $1 million, you can withdraw $40,000 a year. If you've $2 million, you can withdraw $80 million per year. And you may need to adjust that a little bit depending upon your personal circumstances. But that's what we've done. That's what we're looking at doing if and when I eventually retire. I'm 51 right now. I know I look like I'm 70. But once I get to that point, that's what we're gonna be looking at doing. Hey, there's a gaggle of bicyclists riding by, so I'm gonna sign off now. Again, Adam Katz for DogTrainerToolbox.com. Also check out the Dog Trainer Marketing Group on Facebook. You'll be amongst over 3,400 professional dog training business owners swapping secret strategies, tactics, and tips on how they run their dog training businesses. Hope to see you there. Talk to you soon, guys.